Hello, all you bridging leaders out there. Welcome to another podcast episode with uplifting impact and uplifting conversations. I'm Justin.
And I'm Deanna.
All right. And we're excited to learn with you, learn together, learn from you, and share a whole lot of areas that Justin has bumped around, made some mistakes so that you can avoid them and make your corner of the universe that is good even gooder. So, Deanna, what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about rituals, personal rituals for leaders. Yeah,
Great.
it's a fun topic. Why are you woofing?
It's a good one. That's why. And I think it's interesting because I mean, even in the United States in this time and space, we think of rituals and it kind of has a negative connotation. It suggests empty ceremony, things that I do on autopilot and I don't think about it and it's boring and it's exciting. I mean, not exciting, it's boring and kind of empty thought attached to it, but they're actually very powerful and important.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, yeah, I mean, I guess so, right? Like, I think when we think about rituals, yeah, sometimes it does have that connotation of like, yeah.
It's something I
I,
have to do
I
versus
have,
something I get to do.
yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Some rituals, maybe more than others. Let's put
Yeah.
it that
And I
way.
think I understand it because I think we value much more fun and play
Mm,
than most societies and most times that value the ritual more. And part of fun and play for this particular sector of the world tends to be to value spontaneity, excitement, and freshness and individuality. Like part of what measures something fun is we didn't plan on this. And it's something that not many people do. And also, it's something I've never done before. And ritual is the contrast to that. It's not spontaneous. It's something that has been planned. It's something that everybody does and has done for as long as we can remember. And we do it the same way. It's not even going to be new to you.
mhm.
So I think I understand the resistance to it. Like, oh, that doesn't sound like a thrilling time. But I think it's important for us to do the everyday work that we want to do. Sometimes the little small workplace rituals really help.
Yeah, and it is one of those things that like I think too like the definition or like the way that we think about rituals, I don't even know that we have a strong sense of that. Like I feel
Mm.
like how what people think about a ritual and what it is, it's so nuanced, right? Like what constitutes a ritual and what isn't. So maybe it doesn't like help us kind of understand what is a ritual? Like how can we think about what a ritual might look like in the workplace?
Well, I think part of it is finding ways for it to be fun enough for you to become automatic. Like it
Mhm.
is about building muscle memory. I think oftentimes when we want to do habit transformation, we focus on exciting overhaul that is the summoning of supernatural willpower, as opposed to the everyday grind that becomes empty and changes your behavior because you're not even thinking about it after a while. And while
Mhm.
that might not be the most exciting, it is the most impactful. Like if you want habit formation to happen, it has to become, I don't know, a habit. So you have to not be aware that you're doing it. And ritual helps us get there. So too bad we didn't transmit this like in late December and the end of the year where we're thinking about, oh, New Year's resolutions. Part of it is figuring out if I want to make this change, how can I make it small and ritualistic enough so that I forget that I've made the change and it becomes automatic. Like I can do it every day without even thinking about it. And I think also there's a lot of kind of compare and contrast to be happening with self care.
Yeah.
And self care is very important. And it's about making peace with the stresses of everyday life. But there tends to be certain characteristics of self care that are really virtuous, but ritual is also an important part of it. Self care tends to be things that are focused on an extraordinary service or an extraordinary product or an extraordinary event that's outside of my everyday. So I practice self care often by going to the spa, or I practice self care by doing this thing, or I practice self-care by purchasing this product that is not in my normal everyday life. But some of the everyday work week rituals we're talking about are also, there can be overlap, but they are also more specifically the things Justin can do just with Justin in every day at 3 seconds without anyone else, without anything else, to help me make sense of the day and to get through it better.
Yeah, I think too, it's interesting because, again, part of what we're talking about is that when you have rituals or you have things that you're doing and they're habits and they're things, it doesn't rely then on your willpower. And
Mm-mm.
I think that that's part of the idea is that you want to build up some of these muscles that allow for you to handle all the stresses that are coming your way and doesn't add extra stress. And
Mhm.
sometimes, when we think about like, I will let me use myself as an example. Okay. One of my favorite things to do for self care is to go on a walk, right?
Mhm.
And I love going on walks. I mean, it just like relieves so much stress for me. It's great. Like if I can go to the gym and like get on the machine and just like walk, or even if I just go around the neighborhood and just like walk, it's great. However, that means that I either have to get to the gym or the weather has to be because I do not like to be cold, right? So the weather has to be, and I don't like to be rained on either. So either the weather has to cooperate or I have to have enough time or I have to be right. And so there's all these other things that sort of just are out a little bit outside of my control or my like immediate control that have to happen in order for that to take place.
Yeah.
But when we think about some of the rituals, though, that I could do, or some of the things that are part of just my everyday practice that I can do in a couple of seconds that still allow for me to take that like part of the stress and manage it and do things in the moment. Having those things in addition to the self-care of being able to walk and knowing that that's part of my toolkit are so helpful and so beneficial. And I think that's what we're trying to talk about, right? Is like, what are those other things that are the smaller, no price tag, and no price tag meaning not just dollars and cents, but also not having to have all those preconditions in place in order to be able to utilize them.
And you all are in good company because what's interesting is that so many people already do these things. And
Mhm.
chances are you already have rituals. I mean, you, all of us out here, already have workday rituals that we don't necessarily know we're doing it. So, what's also interesting about rituals in the largest cultural sense is they are like small activities. And the meaning isn't necessarily just in the activity, it is the meaning I bring to the activity.
Right.
So think about the rituals that you are already doing and bring more meaning and intentionality to them to have the full transformative effect. So, for example, 79% of people have a regular practice each morning before they begin work. And when asked about it, like, oh, is this a ritual? Like, no, that's just what I do. It's like, no, but not everybody does this thing. This sounds like a workplace ritual. And they're like, oh, really? It is?
Oh my. I have a
Yeah.
ritual. I have a morning
Yeah.
ritual.
And 63% of people engage in rituals throughout the workday when they know they're heading into stressful situations like a really stressful meeting or a stressful presentation. They have again, this is what I do to calm myself down to get ready. And then 59% have a ritual to end their workday. So we're already, majority of folks already do things. They just don't necessarily recognize what they're doing. So it's to take a moment to think about the rituals you are already doing, to recognize them as such and bring even more intentionality to them. So you can do all the work that you're doing even better and more restored.
This is one of the things I do in a lot of my executive coaching. I will ask people like, "Hey, let's like really think about these moments, like where you have felt really successful or where
Mm.
you've had these things and like let's talk about what they are." And they'll be like, "Well, I went to the meeting." I'm like, "Nah, let's like slow it down." You know? Like, you didn't just walk into the meeting, like, what did you really do before it happened? Well, before it happened, I went and I texted my significant other,
Mhm.
and I texted them, like, a funny emoji, and they texted me one back. It's like a little inside joke that we do whenever we have a stressful situation come I'm like, "Oh, okay. Alright. So you had a jokey joke." Okay. Then what happened? Well, then I went and filled up my water bottle, because it's always like really great for me, like when I go into these to have something in my hand. And I just feel like
Mhm,
if I have something cold and I have something to drink, like if something is said or done or whatever, I can like take a sip of water and it like slows me down and it seems appropriate in the conversation. Oh, okay. So you went and filled your water and that's going to be a tool that you can use in the meeting. Okay, then what else did you do? And it's fascinating because they don't really think about it until we push not just rewind, but we also push the slow button. Those of y'all who
mhm.
didn't have VCRs, you don't know what I'm talking about. But there used to be a VCR where you could rewind, push a rewind button, and then slow the rewind down, so you could actually see it in slow motion. And when we do that, it's fascinating because they're like, oh, yeah, that is true. I
Mhm.
do actually do that. And when they add some intentionality to it, then they're like, hey, instead of me just running my meetings like back to back to back, I
Nope.
know I need at least like 5 minutes before I go into these kinds of meetings because I need that 5 minutes to prep myself for this in this
Mhm.
way. So that when I go in, I'm more level headed and I'm ready for whatever it is I'm about to encounter.
And let's be clear about the benefits of this. Like when we're talking about workplace performance, if you look at the highest performing performers in all of human society, whether it's athletes or it's actors, they have rituals.
All
All
of
of them have stuff, especially take athletes, for example. Like, oh no, this is what I do to psych myself up. This is what I do to wind down. This is what I do. So I rely on muscle memory. So when I'm up to bat and 100-mile-per-hour fastball's coming at me, I have made a ritual of swinging at thousands of pitches so I don't have to think about it.
right.
When I know that there's millions of people watching me at home plate and I can win or lose the game at 100-mile-per-hour fastball, I can't be thinking about it and I can't be feeling about it. Well, let me just follow my inspiration in this moment. No, in those moments of our highest stress, we need to have muscle memory where we don't even think. It's automatic. And the way that you get there is through these rituals that I practice over and over. So when the stressful thing happens, I just do it.
Yeah.
So,
And
as
I will
part of
say,
bringing,
even
yeah,
just to bring you into our business, like Justin and I have rituals too.
oh yeah,
Before we do presentations together, we have a full ritual that we do.
mhm,
Before we present, before when we're putting something together, when we know that we're going to build some content together, when we're about to sit down to write, there's all these different kinds of things that we do together. And before we kind of get into them, we have rituals for the different kinds of work that we're going to do. And those rituals help us make the transition. I mean, for us, it's especially important because we're also husband and wife. And so we
mhm,
have to make rituals, right? That like transition us out of like, oh, wait, we're having conversations about family and we're talking about dinner and we got to, think to like, no, now we have to like design this presentation or now we're thinking about the cover of the book those are they're different parts of our brain that we're using in different types of our relationship. And so those transitions really help us navigate how we're having those conversations and what our relationship needs to look like in those spaces. And so not only does it help um in those moments, but it also helps you transition between like, what world are you in, right? What do you need to be focusing on, and how can you be utilizing it? So none of the stuff that we ever are talking about are things that we're just like, oh, I read about it and I think this is cool. We are
we
all
live this.
we live it. This is our life.
And I think to bring more intentionality to the stuff that we already do and that all of you already do, I think it's valuable to think in three categories
Mm,
of rituals that help us be better at the workplace. One is maintenance rituals, the second is response rituals, and the third is release rituals. And we'll kind of break these up and go through them one by one. So the first one is maintenance rituals, and we talk about these as things to build your resources before anything even gets stressful. Nothing wrong has happened. It's just your everyday, daily things you're doing to maintain your resources and your energy level, building up all those things so you can be your best. So, Deanna, what are some maintenance rituals that you like to gravitate towards? You got some good ones.
I mean, I try to have some good ones. I feel like Justin is always like, "Girl, don't you need to go somewhere and sit down?" Because I don't know that this is always my strength here. But some maintenance ones are definitely like having downtime. Uh, Making sure that you are taking some time to prepare for the next day. For me, one of the big ones is just like, thinking about, okay, what's my top 3 gonna be for the next day? That maintenance ritual really helps because if I know that this is what I'm committing to for the next day, it gives my brain, like, some rest and relaxation because instead of thinking about all the things, I'm like, "Okay, these are the 3 things." And I often find that my brain, when I sleep, I'm kinda working out some of that, so when I wake up, I'm not worried about it, but I'm, like, refreshed and I have some new ideas related to them. So that's one of my big ones, right? I like, Justin knows, my big thing is, like, sitting and just having, like, some popcorn and just, like, having, like, a 20 to 30-minute, like, we are either just sitting and listening to something or we're doing a walk or just, like, some time where it's, like, quiet and non-brain time. Like, not like, where there's no work involved, I don't have to answer any questions, there's no problems to be solved, and I need at least 20 to 30 minutes of that, at nighttime, otherwise, I can't I don't pr I'm stuck, right? It's really hard for me then to go to sleep or do whatever. So these are some maintenance rituals for me at least that are really important, but they're all about resting. They're all about knowing what my rhythms are. They're all about understanding that for me is some what I need is very different than what somebody else might need, but it's also just understanding those patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some of mine and my big 3, knowing my big 3. Those are really important maintenance ones.
Yeah, and I think about maintenance rituals as the long-term deep characteristics I'm trying to develop over time.
Mm,
So they're things that are it's almost like a skill building, but for my moral character. So I think there's some things about obviously on the physical resource side, uh, breathing, exercising, stretching, hydrating, nourishing, quiet, and sunlight. Also, I would challenge folks to build up their resources and maintain with rituals that encourage improvisation. Life is surprising.
yeah.
When things go sideways, it's not an error because some system went wrong or you just develop a better SOP and then one day you'll no longer have to improvise. Change is the only constant. So things like taking a comedy improv class or freestyle rapping in the shower or driving a new way home every day, it's doing something that makes it normal for your brain to ritualize having to improvise.
I'll tell you one of my favorite things, as a maintenance ritual you just reminded me of is, like, I'm always doing something to practice failing.
Yep.
Always. I'm always doing something to practice failing, and so,
Mhm.
like, I at the deepest core of my body want to be like a crocheter or a knitter, and
Mhm.
I can knit and I can crochet. When it comes to doing a pattern or making something that anybody would wanna put their name on it, no, I do that is not my skill set. But have I been trying? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have successfully made a hat that I, sent to Hawaii to a dear friend, only after sending it realizing that that poor baby was never ever gonna need a hat in Hawaii, but, I did make it for an infant, and it also was probably big enough to fit Justin, so there was also a sizing issue there, but, needless to say, I did that. I have made a couple of scarf adjacent things, um, not even we can't even call them scarves, but scarf adjacent, but I love doing it, and I love trying, and I love coming back at it and getting new, yarn and just failing. And part of the reason why I love the failing part of it is that it gets me used to it so that I'm not I'm it makes me more risk averse or less risk averse. Like I'm not
Mhm.
and it gives me the opportunity in something that doesn't have really big consequences to practice failing.
And it's like the ritual of perseverance. Like I think
Yeah.
in
Oh, yeah,
our
for
time
sure.
and space, we say try new things, and the undercurrent is try new things until you also conquer them. You're like, that's fine, but also you're missing out on a key part of resilience is being able to be fine with I'm not going to be a world-class knitter, and that's okay. You can
Yeah.
immediately hear all the voices, no, you're supposed to persevere and practice resilience until you also conquer this. You're like, or also it can be rituals that practice, I do not have to dominate this thing. I can
I
enjoy it without
yeah.
dominating it.
So my nephew asked me for a dinosaur when he was about 2.
Yep.
And he keeps asking me, and he's 9, and so my goal is that by the time that child graduates from either high school or college, I'm gonna give myself a window here that I can produce something that's, again, dinosaur adjacent for him. So, again, not, you know, being a world-class knitter or crocheter, but again, the idea that I can keep coming back at it, and like you said,
Yep.
Justin, I say practicing failure because I like using the word failure. I think that helps me, but
Yeah.
you could pose it any way, like resilience or perseverance or any of that, any way you want to call it. But I think it's an important maintenance ritual for me.
So that's maintenance rituals. We'll go into the second category of response rituals. So maintenance rituals is building up my resources, my resilience, my perseverance, my physical background, my ability to be improvisational, even before stuff gets stressful. But response rituals are in response to this thing just happened. I've got 3 seconds to get my mind right. So think about developing rituals where it's automatic in these moments of stress. And I use the metaphor of baseball. I'm up to bat. The game depends on me. Millions of people are watching. There's a fastball coming at me at 100 miles per hour. I don't have time to think. I don't have time to feel. I hopefully have had rituals where it can be automatic muscle memory. So throughout the day, practicing things like breathing, like I can count to 3 whenever anything's stressful. You know what I do is I tend to like, and I'm trying to get better at this. I tend to find myself watching stressful stuff, which like maybe take inventory of your own life as I am. I'm like, so I spend all day in like, if I'm spending all the workday in conflict, why do I relax by watching more conflict?
I don't
I don't know if that makes sense.
know.
But
I
even
don't
if it does, it's I'm watching conflict that doesn't involve me, and I can
know.
practice counting to 3 as I'm watching these two characters go at it. You can also think about things like stroking my chin or using my toes to grip the floor. Something I'm trying to do more and more is like self massage. Yes, self care is awesome and getting massages, but I don't always have the time and money to drop on going to the spa. But I can massage my own neck at my cubicle. As someone's driving me up the wall, I can spend some time and massage my own hands. It's building up these muscle responses, muscle memory for doing things that help our bodies act out in ways that remind the mind you're okay.
You're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We used to, do this with the children, but we would say, like, "It's just new. It's just new. It's just new." And so one of the response rituals too is even, like, things that you can say in your head.
Self
And
affirmations.
yeah,
I'm
self
okay. It's just new.
Mhm. Or yeah, and just, like, maybe, like, phrases that are important to you, or again, that are affirmations or that mean something to you, and there's a number of them that I find myself in situations where, like, they come up like this because I have trained myself, right? Where I'm in a situation and it just, like, comes up and it just becomes this recording that goes on in my head, and nobody has to know that that's what's happening. And because that soundtrack is playing in my head, I can be cool as a cucumber on the outside because I am listening to that soundtrack and it is calming me down,
Mhm.
or it is putting me into a place of joy, or it's doing whatever that I've trained my brain, for it to do. And I think that's a really great technique too, right? For those of us who might be like more auditory, or like that's kind of something that we know helps us. That's another really, really great ritual.
So we have maintenance rituals, response rituals, and the third one is release rituals. So if
Mhm.
you think about rituals in their largest ethnographic sense, like what it's meant for human groups for as long as recorded history, rituals were to mark the end of things and the beginning of new things. And oftentimes in many rituals, there's like kind of this spiritual component of we will end this so
Yeah.
ghosts don't haunt us into the next thing.
Yep.
And you think about in the professional spheres in the 21st century, we call these anxiety, we call these nervousness, we call it insomnia, the inability to rest because we have a hard time unplugging
Mhm.
because we don't have rituals that get the ghost of the workday off of us so that we can rest at home. So it's a metaphorical, poetic way of saying no matter what the case, building in rituals to unplug will help you rest so that you can be better. So, Deanna, you mentioned at the beginning some of your maintenance rituals kind of also fall under this category. What are some of your unplugging release rituals?
Yeah, so the minute I can get into my sweatpants and put my hair up, like, the whole family knows, like, it's over, like, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, like, when mommy's hair is, like, up here in a pineapple, like, she is not leaving the house anymore, like, we are done for the day, and, like, I am right, I have now transitioned, and for
And I
me,
want to highlight that because oftentimes we see it in television and movies where that is quitting and that is giving up because
mm,
you're supposed to work until 8 p.m. and then you're supposed to go to the trendy club and stay up till 1 in the morning. And then you're supposed to somehow wake up completely refreshed at 5. And if that's your vibe, that's your circadian rhythm, power to you. But I think it's about doing the behavior with intention. Oh no, I'm not getting into sweatpants because I'm bumming. I'm not
mhm,
putting my hair up in a pineapple because I'm just exhausted. No, this is my ritual. This is my comfortable clothes. This is what my uniform is for at home. Back where I come from, and my family only makes fun, I have house shoes.
he sure does.
They're not slippers.
Nope.
They're not flip flops. They're house shoes.
He is a modern day Mr. Rogers, right? Mr. Rogers?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, talk about that. Dude came in off the street, changed his cardigan, changed his shoes,
And Justin
sang a
does the
little
same thing.
song. It was a whole ritual. And think about how many of us out here can, if we watched it, can sing that
Sing the
song.
song with him.
I don't want to violate copyright. I don't know the rules for copyright infringement or
No.
anything. I can tell you, I haven't seen that show in 30 years. I can sing the whole song by heart because it was a ritual every single day. This is how I enter the house. And every ritual is, oh, you are entering a different land. You
Yeah.
are supposed to change the way you appear, what you do, how you speak, because this is a different land. So
Yeah.
whatever you did at the workspace, now you are home. You are supposed to, and even if it's like, oh, if you put on a ball gown, if you put on more makeup to come home, cool. The point isn't what you wear, it is that you change.
Yeah.
Come home and change.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it in our side notes as rinse the workday off of you. Whatever it is. So change your clothes, change your face. If that part is getting fancier or getting more comfortable, but it has to be different to remind your mind you are not working here anymore.
Yeah, and I think it especially became hard during COVID when a lot of people started to work from home,
Mm.
because it was like, "Wait, I'm just walking to the next room." And
Yep.
so what was really interesting and something that Justin and I decided to do very early on was that we, like, every day got up, showered, put on work clothes, at the end of the day, like, just as if we were going into an office, and we still do the same when we're working from home because it gives us and everybody else, like, the cues that our body needs the cues to know, like, this is the ritual. This is what we're doing. This is work time. This is not work time. This is right. This is when, and this is what we're not only telling ourselves, but also telling everybody else in the house. Like, hey, I'm
Yep.
working right now, but now I'm not. Now, now we can hang out. We can do whatever because I've made that transition,
Mhm.
and it creates, like, cleaner lines for everyone,
Yep.
and it creates cleaner lines for yourself. So, that was something that we were really intentional about, during the pandemic, and I think it helped us a lot, it helped our kids a lot, and it's something that I think retroactively, I'm really, really grateful for. I don't even know
Yep.
if we knew how important it was gonna be while we were doing it, but we were really intentional about it.
And neuroscientists will tell you it benefits almost everybody's mind.
Mhm.
So in summation, kind of as this workplace ritual, ask yourself this question: what is your body doing to teach your mind to get ready for the workday, to get ready for rest? So the general question is, what is your body doing to teach your mind?
Yeah.
And think about the different situations. How is it? All right, mind, we are getting ready to go to work. All right, mind, we're getting ready to go into a stressful meeting. All right, mind, we are now coming home. All right, mind, we are now getting ready for sleep. Our mind needs to be cared for, and a lot of that care comes from what the body teaches it. So if we are slamming back and forth between things, like our mind is like 5 hours behind us, like, wait, so
Wait,
where are
where
we
are we?
now? Are we in
What are
that
we doing?
meeting?
What are we doing?
And I think in our fast-paced, technologically advanced society, we don't like compartments. But while our technology has allowed us to be connected anywhere in the world all the time, our brains are very similar to the way they were thousands of years ago.
Yep.
So you might not have the technology that allows you to unplug, but think about the rituals that allow your mind to unplug and say, that is for work, this is for home. And I understand people have different work situations and different demands, but even if it's like you're going to sleep, what do you do for even 30 seconds where your body is doing something that changes the physical reality? So your mind knows, oh, this is what I am doing now to change.
Yeah. Well, that was a lot, Justin. We
Yeah.
have a lot to say about rituals.
Yeah.
And we have a lot more that we say actually about this topic and about much more when we think about, just ways to be able to think about how we hold ourselves accountable and what it looks like to think about how we move into more harmony with what we're doing at work and how we're showing up for ourselves and how we're showing up for others, especially in the Bridging Leader book. So
Mhm. And I think it's important to note a lot of the rituals we're talking about are kind of like the best things that we've heard from other people about what they do, about their lived experience. Again, it's not Deanna and Justin making it up in a bubble, nor is it best practices in a controlled experimental environment. This is the lived reality that people, yeah, this thing has helped me a lot. So it's
exactly.
always been a pleasure learning from people and getting to share that learning with others. And we want to continue that learning with you. So go on down to the description. I'll give you a second. Click on the link and order your pre-copy of The Bridging Leader today. And you'll be part of the whole learning community as we continue to share tips, suggestions, and advice about how to make our corner of the universe even better in the workplace. So look forward to learning with you.
Thanks. We'll see you on the next podcast. Bye.